Are you wondering how you can contribute to Funniest Thing?
Don't flip out. Go to patreon.com/funniest thing.
Whoa!
Oh!
That would have been crazy.
Welcome to The Funniest Thing,
Yes.
where each week we share stories about how stepping out boldly always leads to better than expected outcomes.
Oh my God. Thank goodness.
I'm Darrell,
I'm Ed.
and we're broadcasting live from CHOBO Studios in
Beautiful downtown Van Nuys. Oh my God. Excuse me, Indy. Mic on?
What's going on? Yeah. What's up?
I love the sentiment. I think you got the whiteboard wrong again. I'm reading Funniest Thing with Holly and Jolly.
It's Darrell and Ed.
Sorry.
Hey, by the way, what did you leave for us here? If you're watching on YouTube, you can see we got some gifts here
Ooh.
from CHOBO Studio.
This is curated from the co-owner of CHOBO Studios, Victoria. My
Wow. Some CHOBO socks, CHOBO t-shirt. Oh my gosh, I'm excited.
CHOBO stickers,
Boom.
CHOBO chocolates.
A CHOBO card.
I got a t-shirt, a CHOBO candy cane.
Dude, there's a lot of CHOBO-licious items in here. So thank you, and thank Victoria.
Thank Victoria.
friend. Yeah.
We can open up our cards later.
Merry Christmas to you guys and everybody listening.
I'm going to hand this to the PA in the studio.
Do you want to open your card now? Let's see what our cards have to say here. Hopefully it's positive.
Okay. CHOBO Studio loves Darrell and Ed. Dear Darrell. Oh, did I hit a mic? Oh, no.
The light went for it. Keep going.
Oh, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year from CHOBO Studios. We are so grateful to have the funniest thing in our lives. Here's to 2024 and more inspiring and uplifting podcasts. Best, Victoria and Indy. Thank you, folks.
Yeah, thank you very much. All right.
Merry
Here, why don't we
Christmas,
open up these guys? Oh, I think I stole yours, even though I put it over there.
This is
for you.
these came from the UK. They're from Grace Dethridge. She's a fan all the way in England.
in Devon, right? Is that what? No.
Yes.
Is she the one that's there? Yeah.
Whoa! I felt so good.
Aw. I got myself a snowboarding zebra.
How did she know that I love this character?
Aw. And we also got a card over there. Why don't you open up your card?
Oh, boy. Here we go.
Yep.
I hope McBride, our guest, doesn't feel bad. I'll have to mail him a gift.
Yes. McBride is a gift to everyone who is going to
This is a
be
very
listening
special.
and watching the
How did you
show.
open your card? Mine's a trick envelope.
Mine says Merry and Bright, Dear Ed and family, including Romeo, the Devonian cat. He's a Devon Rex. Happy New Year. Happy new thought. Happy new. Love you from Grace. Dude,
Okay,
this is a
hang on.
festive episode.
I'm just going to hand these. Could you take these for me? Thank you.
Yeah, man. Thanks.
This one says, Dear Darrell and family, all call humans, animals, and all humans, animals, and donkeys included.
Oh, wow.
Happy New Year, happy new thought, happy new love from Grace Dethridge with an X and an O.
Dude, we got from Patty and Matthew Santa Cruz. That's Patty from
Unity.
From Unity in Unity the West Side. She said, let the spirit of Christmas fill your heart with peace and joy. Lots of love, Patty and Matthew Santa Cruz. Thank you so much for all your wonderful podcasts. Miss you guys. She also sent us a nice donation on that same day. I need to get here's my
Hand
little,
them to the PA.
my little PA. Here you go, buddy.
Well, the PA's over there.
I got a little guy over here. He's behind under the table. Ed and Darrell. This is from Marty Thurman, who you know from the show episode a few weeks ago. It was wonderful seeing you again and sharing some time with you on Funniest Thing. Your light shines bright. Please accept this donation to keep things going.
Thank
Much love
you.
to you. Your dumpster diving bud, Marty.
Yes.
Man, this just keeps getting better and better.
I'm just going to, for the sake of Terry McBride's listening in the green room, the dumpster diving she's referring to is we visited Unity Village not too long ago. Actually, in the beginning of November, we were there to give a talk at the first ever Fillmore Metaphysical Bible
Yeah, the Fillmore Bible
gathering.
Society gathering.
And while we were there, we learned that the archives were throwing out books and letters.
Yeah.
They were
Pictures.
apparently scanning them
But they were
throwing out
digitizing everything, but the originals were in these dumpsters. And we talked about it before, but through a crazy set of circumstances, someone told us where they were.
Yeah, and so Marty, we brought along with us because she really appreciates all these books and readings.
Yeah. So Cat Hurst sent us a card with a cat, a suggestive cat on the front. Says the struggle is real because they're trying to pull up their pants.
And they gained weight.
They gained weight, but it says, or the struggle is real, or is it? Ha ha ha. Love you guys so much. You are an important part of my life. Thank you. From Cat Hurst. She's a club member, and she sent us a donation as well. While we're at it, Kirky sent me a nice card here. It says, keep practicing. You will get better. I'm going to cover up. If you're on YouTube, you can see this. But the quote on the back says, what is presented as the news runs contrary to who we are and how we were born to live. We are illuminated beings here to create, find joy, and uplift the world. The news, on the other hand, calls the planet for the worst of what happens each day. Calls the planet for the worst of what happens each day. Exaggerates it, dramatizes it, and presents it as reality. And then it has a picture of me saying no news is good news. He makes these amazing stamps with our pictures. So thank you, Kirky.
And that came from Germany.
And now on with the show. This week's episode is called Awful Big, Awful Good with Terry McBride. And awe is AWE, full of awe. You guys are going to love Terry McBride. We do. He's been a huge influence on us, and we're so blessed that he's here. He prayed us in.
If they've ever listened to an episode, they already have been introduced to Terry McBride because we mention him often.
And he was actually on shows long before we got to Chobo Studios. He's been on our show
twice.
A long while back, but we have him back today. He's a patron saint of my hip. As you know, he was the one who prayed with me in the hospital when I had to get my hip upgraded with some screws. I've told that story before.
Yep.
But I'm forever grateful for that. And that really doubled down. That whole experience now feeds back and encourages me to continue using these principles, which is something Terry reminded us of when we spoke to him before the show. So today's episode is called Awful Big, Awful Good with Terry McBride. Whatever one feels deeply or images clearly is impressed upon the subconscious mind and carried out in minute detail. When you believe something is impossible, your mind goes to work for you to prove why. But when you really believe something can be done, your mind goes to work for you and helps you to find the ways to do it. Think in the direction you really want to go with faith and love, and the universe will oblige. On this episode, Darrell and Ed motivate listeners and ourselves to think awfully big and awfully good about themselves and their desires while looking forward to awesome results. And during the second segment, Terry McBride, the Vince Lombardi of spiritual leadership, kicks us through the goalposts of life with today's reading. Yes, thank you. Oh man, I'm excited to get Terry on at the second segment. We used to call it wrestling with the cave bear when we talked to Terry, because if I wasn't ready to be super conscious and aware of the words that I'm using, Terry is so astute, because he studies this stuff, he lives this stuff, he loves this stuff. Every conversation with him was like going to a chiropractor for my mind, for my consciousness. He's always helped me adjust. Like, well, why are you saying that? And you got to be ready, and you got to want to be adjusted. This is not like he doesn't just deliver lip service. He delivers powerful messages full of excitement, enthusiasm, and the kind of fire that really speaks to Darrell and I.
Yeah, the one line he said at a talk he gave years ago at Unity Village, which you can find online, folks, if you do a Google search for Terry McBride, or go on YouTube and search Terry McBride, and you could listen to all these great talks. And in one of them, he wraps it up in a nutshell.
Yes.
Because he tells the audience, and this one stays in my brain, and this is the one I hang my hat on, and it's this. Because, a lot of us who come to this, or a lot of people, they read these things, and these things, just reading, it'll make you feel good. But they're not just about feeling good, or I'm going to do it exactly as Terry McBride says it. We do not believe in and live by these principles so we can endure life.
That's right.
We believe and live by these principles to transform life.
Yes.
My life, my circumstances for the better, always, because we're actually just, and it's not even a willing thing. It's, as we're going to see from our readings, and you'll hear from Terry McBride, we're actually just getting our head out of the rut of the mass consciousness of all this just negative, impossible, everything's difficult, and to get here from there, it's going to take a lot of horrible effort, and you better be prepared for the fight. Well, we're saying all that is what we got to get our head out of, because the truth is God is for us, that life is progressive, and it's a positive stream of life. And when our desire comes, and we got a great reading, I want to let Ed read this, because when we have a desire for anything good, whether it's healing or something we really love doing and we want to see ourselves, or we have the desire to be doing it professionally and being well paid for it, the tendency to think, oh, well, that's nice, but don't expect too much. That's what killed me. That type of thinking brought me to my knees 37 years ago. And thank God I met the right people who introduced me to these books, just like Terry McBride was introduced to him when he was in a situation.
Real situation.
Physical situation that was over his head, that the desire is actually for me. It's not just a, nice little fantasy. It actually means it's for me. And Ed's going to clarify it perfectly here with this quote from H. Emily Cady.
Yeah, so Emily Cady said, desire in the heart is always God tapping at the door of your consciousness. The thing you desire is not only for you, but has already been started toward you out of the heart of God.
Yes.
Can I read this Lundy one?
Yeah, yes. This is...
Is this from You Unlimited?
Yes.
Okay.
This is so good, man.
Goes right along with this. It says, the ancients had a saying, desire is the messenger, announcing the coming of a thing that can be accomplished. When infinite intelligence placed you here, it beheld you as the limitless, dynamic, and beautiful expression of itself. Therefore, no good is impossible in your life. Everything you need is already provided, is in fact near at hand.
Yes.
You must materialize it, in quotes, by knowing it is there, giving thanks for it, and expecting it. All good is born to you in this way. The various techniques we have given you are simply to strengthen you in these three steps: knowing, thanking, expecting. All good.
Yes.
You love all and are eternally drawing love in all its creativeness. That's from You Unlimited, Norman Lundy.
And this works for every desire, small or big. Ed had a desire this week. I'm just prompting him to share it because he told me. And it was a desire about a possible dinner outing.
Oh, yeah.
But the desire, Ed will share this because when you told me this, I was like, this stuff works with everything.
Yeah, man. And it was a very simple thing. It was Tuesday night. My wife reminded me about a trip to Lowry's on, you know where that is, on La Cienega.
Yeah.
What part of town is that? West Hollywood, maybe?
No, that's Beverly Hills.
It is Beverly Hills.
He's trying to be coy. But that's where...
but you know, it's in that weird area where you used to hang out. That's why I'm being coy.
Touche.
The Larry Flint building is nearby as well.
But people who may not know this, who live outside of Beverly Hills,
Yeah.
Lowry's is that famous seasoning salt that it's available for years in many, many supermarkets across the nation. This is the actual restaurant.
It's a little much to call that part of town Beverly Hills. It's very, you know what I'm saying? It's in that one little weird where things come together. Because like where we go to eat at the pizza place, what's that place called? Mulberry?
Well, but that's
like a legitimate.
Well, that's Rodeo Drive. Every town has their unsavory section, but compared to Van Nuys, Lowry's is like going to, I don't know, Monte Carlo.
Okay, well, back to the story. Monte Carlo with some interesting characters nearby, but it was simple. My wife reminded me of this family event. And it was the last week of school before the break. There's a lot going on. We do Zoom calls and all of a sudden I was like, oh man, okay. It's weird because no one had mentioned it for a long time. Usually people keep saying this thing's coming up. And so the next day during the day, I was thinking about that and I didn't say this to anybody else. I didn't even put a lot of energy. I was just, the way it was that possibility was feeling, I was thinking, oh, and also it was at 5:30 p.m. in L.A.,
which is the worst traffic.
For traffic. It was raining and all this, which I don't mind rain, but just the whole thing just didn't feel good.
It was a family thing.
Yeah. So
the F word, folks, family.
Yeah, we call it forced family fun or forced family feeding. My buddy changed it to feeding recently because he used it for a family meal. So anyway, but I didn't complain. All I did is say to myself, you know what? I'd love it if that was canceled. I just had that thought.
Yes.
I realized that's what I really desired. I blessed it. I mean, I didn't even think of it as anything metaphysical, but I just said, you know what? I got to admit to myself, I would love it if that thing was canceled.
But I bet if you're honest and you think about how it felt when you thought that feeling was probably such a good
I'll be totally honest.
Energy.
It felt amazing. That's
the power.
The power is in that feeling, right?
Yes.
It wasn't. I didn't like burn incense or.
Yeah.
I just admitted to myself and let that good feeling come through. So then I was at the. There was a whole series of miracles that day when I changed my mind because people were giving me gifts and I hadn't really planned any gifts and I thought, I'd love to give more gifts. And then I just said, I'm going to go get a coffee. I'll get a coffee for my assistant, Ms. Dulce. I didn't even realize that was giving a gift. I do that all the time. But when I got there, I realized, hey, I can get a pound of beans for that white elephant gift exchange. It'll be because this is really good coffee. They'll love that.
Yeah.
So that turned into a gift. The next thing I know, the parents of one of my students works there. That's why I love going there. We talk about her kids who are amazing. She hands me a tray full of gift drinks for everyone there. And there was one staff that I couldn't get a hold of. I wanted to ask my other assistant if she wanted a drink. She didn't respond. And then, on my way out, the parent who works there goes, do you want anything? A pastry? And I said, sure, I'll grab one of these chocolate croissants. And then I go, oh, I bet that staff member would love this chocolate croissant. So when I came back, I set a simple intention. Not again. The only reason I keep saying this, I didn't say, I'm going to get out my intention journal and I'm going to. I just set an intention. I said I would love to be a gift giver now.
But the best part of it, the magic ingredient, these are loving thoughts.
Yeah,
both of them. I would love if that thing was canceled.
Yeah,
if I didn't have to.
Yeah, that's coming up because that's.
I know. And then this, I'd love to give gifts. And that feeling is so, it's not like we're trying to mantra ourselves. That is letting us know this thought is congruent or in tune with my God's good for myself and others.
Yeah, because you know what I didn't do? I didn't make it hard. I didn't say, why am I not a gift giver? Why? I would have done that in the past. This time I just said, I'd love to be able to give some gifts. I came back like Santa Claus of the coffee world. When I gave that one woman the pastry, she was like, oh my God, this is actually more perfect. Sorry I didn't get back to you about the coffee, but this is even better. But I didn't realize this, but in the flow of that good feeling, that's when I had the idea, I'd love it if that was canceled. And again, I didn't say, curse them for setting us up an appointment for Lowry's or how do I, I didn't do any self-work. I just said, what felt good, like you're saying, the good feeling was letting myself out there. I just love it if it was canceled. While I was up playing Jeopardy with the staff, I got a call from my mother-in-law who had set up the Lowrys. And I assumed she was, because it was a couple hours away, I assumed from that moment, I assumed she was going to leave a message saying, can't wait to see you. But instead, I looked at the transcription of the voice message on my phone, and it said, sorry, we're going to have to cancel. Bob doesn't want to go out in the rain, my father-in-law.
Hallelujah.
It was just, and it really proved to me, like, if I'm putting all this kind of stuff, if you're not watching on, I'm like, drumming up some kind of affect in my voice. That's not necessarily real faith. Faith is the ability to just say what I desire, let it go, enjoy the feeling, and trust. Not because you said it before. You're talking about, like, it's not about willing, which some people say. It's not about being willful to make it happen. It's actually about being willing to let God do it, to let life provide. And it was a small thing, but it was a beautiful little lesson for me that I can apply to everything. Yesterday, on Tuesday, I thought I had this inspired thought: take the day off Wednesday. There's a lot of people getting sick that you don't want to be tired and sick before you go to break. But I ignored it. I went to work Wednesday. I went to work Thursday. Thursday, dude, I had guys coughing and wheezing all around me. And then Thursday, at the very end of the day, I started feeling run down. And the idea said, take Friday off. And it was funny because I almost backtracked. I sent my teacher partner, I'm going to take tomorrow off. And then I sent, maybe I'll just come in late. Thankfully, she hearted the idea of me taking the day off because we encourage each other. And thumbs down she gave me for the coming in late.
I think I can come in late.
So I took the day off. I woke up and, when there's this, I had some sinus stuff but there's just a little bit of that feeling where there's like a cold or something in your body. It just doesn't feel good. But what I did is I just kept treating my mind. I wouldn't let my mind wallow in self-pity. I really recognized how much in the past I really made my home in self-pity, in feeling small. So I just kept clearing that out. God's doing the healing. When my mind accepts the healing, it will be. And I just kept thinking, and I kept listening to things and reading affirmative metaphysics. By midday, I had such a shift in how I was feeling. It was incredible. By the end of the day, there was no more sick feeling in my body or my mind. And believe me, when I was affirming it, there was a voice going, but. And I just kept blessing, I know. And I kept blessing that part, loving that part, kept shifting out of thinking small, conjuring up stories about sickness. Because what I realized, if my subconscious mind created this condition, as soon as my subconscious mind shifts out of this, it will dissolve and I will feel good. And I was blown away within 12 hours of waking up. I mean, I felt remarkable, incredible. I still do. I was able to surf this morning.
He was afraid to call Terry McBride on Tuesday because McBride would have said, yeah, you don't need to go in for the rest of the week.
That's right.
But Ed, no, I got to go in.
Yeah.
Well, he learned his lesson once again, folks.
The main lesson is when you get a really good feeling idea,
listen to it.
Yeah.
Oh my! Holy cow, Ed! This was not even an intended reading. I can't believe you're saying this.
Let's hear it.
This was given to me from God just for Ed, folks.
You know what?
Okay, you ready?
I'm letting go of pride. That's my thing today. Which means
this
I'm
is
letting
love.
The joy come in.
Yeah, this is love. You ready?
Yeah, let's hear it.
Here we go, Ed. I follow the promptings of my heart. I may be surprised at the direction I find myself moving, yet I answer the call and trust it. My destination becomes increasingly clear with each step I take in the direction of my dream. There are no limits to what I can envision and work towards. That's work or walk towards.
In New Jersey, they call it what? Work?
Work is a combo of walk and work.
Work and Mindy.
In faith, which means joyful expectation or just delight in your desire. And it could be that simple feeling. Because once we start cursing a thing, we attach ourselves to it.
Yeah, no kidding.
And once we start loving the idea we would really like to happen, that's what I was going to say. When we curse a thing, we're actually chaining ourselves to the very thing we don't want to show up for.
Yes.
But if we can just delight in what we really want, it releases us.
Yeah.
And here it says, in faith, which is joyful expectation, and with trust. Like we just read, those three pieces are those three steps from Norman Lundy. Knowing what it is I would desire.
Right.
And then thanking, that's that delightful feeling, thanking in advance and then expecting.
Yeah.
So in faith and with trust, I step into a brilliant future, even greater than I imagined. And here it is. This is about listening to our gut and the magic that occurs. It's from 2 Samuel chapter 7, verse 21. According to your own heart, you have wrought all this greatness. Meaning when we follow that gut, that
desire that Emily Katie talked about.
And even the joy, like you felt like, it feels good not to go in tomorrow.
Yep.
But then it's scary to follow through on these things. But the good news is, just like Ed's experience, we're not punished if we don't. We're only punished as long as we want to remain in it. But as soon as we say, I'm going to go with it, it's never too late. Because even though you waited till Friday,
still worked.
And you were surfing this morning.
Yeah. God's elves, like, they go, he didn't get the message. Then they go and they rework out a whole nother scheme. We'll have to get him on Thursday.
Yeah. The thing is, that's why I love that one Bible verse. God, I'm going to mess it up, but it's the one where everything and more from the years that you receive, you can receive it any time you turn to this stuff and go, I'm just going to, meaning I need to say no to this, even though I said yes in the past, or I need to say yes to this, even though it seems like it's scary because I want to look like a good employee if I say yes to this idea to not go in, or some other crazy ill-feeling feeling. Then all those years the locusts have eaten, all that good comes back.
100%.
It's only delayed, and my suffering continues as long as I'm refusing to just cooperate with all this good.
Yeah.
And just enjoy thanking in advance and enjoy believing in this.
We should get on with the show. Should we do the breaths, or you got something?
I just got one quick things I want to remind our folks that I wrote to myself. We highly recommend doing a morning routine. I don't know how I would live without it. And I just saw science, is always catching up to this stuff. Because science always is looking backwards and proving what is behind this condition. And this stuff we read is always about moving forward with faith and trust. Mm-hmm. Well, I just happened to stumble upon a BBC YouTube video on the mind. And you know what? The best tool to heal your mind and totally keep it regenerating and keep the neuroplasticity expanding and open to learning, and to eliminate all the harmful toxins and stuff in the brain that come from worry. And they were really saying all the news, the social media. It's what Darrell and Ed recommend to do on their show. They put a girl on doing a morning meditation practice for 2 weeks. That's all. Just 30 minutes reading, meditating. And guess what? With the MRI test, her brain was healing. Like, her brain wasn't unhealed, but all the parts of the brain, like, that are more alive and are more youthful or healthy, really young brain
Yeah.
are alive from this daily practice. So
Yes.
here's what we got. This is the thing to remember, because it's easy for me to worry through my prayers, meaning I think I got to add more pressure to it, or I have to do the effort
Right.
in the thinking about the new, the healing
Yeah.
or the desire. And that's like, we're sharing in a nutshell what Ed's experience and everything we're talking about today. It's Emmett Fox's pray with a feather, not a pickaxe.
Yes.
Because that's how you get results. And one of Emmett Fox's lines inspired me to write this for myself, which is, when I pray, it is God who goes to work. So my own limitations do not matter unless I think they do.
Yes. Yep.
So think about it. When you pray for whatever it is, you don't have to be concerned, because just know that it is God who does the work.
Yep.
And our own limitations and how this is going to come about, they don't matter.
Right. I know we are expressions of God, so you have to remember that. Wouldn't God want to express itself as fully and as healthily,
Yes!
and as happily,
Yes!
and as prosperously?
Yeah!
Wouldn't that be what God would want to do while God's here? By the way, thank you to the Patreon folks. We bless all those Patreon offerings. They just keep magnifying and multiplying. If you want to send us anything, funniest thing, P.O. Box 1312, Culver City, California, 90232. We want to thank their chief engineer out in Kansas City, Kansas. His name's Jeff Comfort.
And each week, he takes us
right into the comfort zone.
Yeah.
That is on the podcast app side of things. So if you're not on the podcast app side of things and you're only on YouTube, I recommend jumping on there. That's where we all began. Let's do our 3 breaths.
And on that, you'll hear the sound effects.
Yes.
Okay, these 3 breaths,
Why don't you bring it out, because you came up with it.
Yeah, it's to let, I was using this on myself. We can let go of the concern, because we're knowing that this stuff is true.
Yes.
And we're thanking in advance, and we're expecting it. So this 3 breaths helps sum up that idea for my brain when he gets worried.
All right.
You ready?
Yes.
I can shut up and dance because I give thanks in advance.
I can shut up and dance because I give thanks in advance.
I can shut up and dance
because I give thanks in advance. Woo! All right. Man, there's a lot of truth to that. Because that's a lot of times that nervous energy, you're not going to mentally wake your way out of it. Do a little dance. Say a funny thing. You know what I'm saying? Put on a song and dance around and let the energy move.
Yeah.
That energy wants to move in creative and fun and amazing ways. Coming up next, Terry McBride. He's the Vince Lombardi of spiritual leadership. He's going to kick us through the goalposts of life with today's reading. Yes, thank you. So thank you for listening to Funniest Thing with Darrell and Ed, right here from CHOBO Studios. All right, everyone. Welcome back to Funniest Thing. Today's episode is called Awful Big, Awful Good. That's what life has in store for every one of us. Our job is to let it in. We have the Vince Lombardi of spiritual teaching with us right here, right now. His name's Terry McBride. How are you, sir?
Good. How are you guys?
Good, good, good. You've been listening to us go on about the subject and such. What kind of thoughts do you have bubbling up?
The one thing I wanted to comment on was when you were at the front end of it, you said whatever we desire, and then you added anything good, and then you went on to talk about how the universe will support us. What we want to talk about is that it doesn't have to be good. Anything we desire, the universe will support us. When we add anything good, what we end up with is the possibility that somebody will say, oh, you shouldn't desire this. That's one of the problems you guys remember out of my book, when after 15 surgeries of this infection in my spine, they sent me to a psychiatrist, and in the beginning, it was okay for me to want to be perfectly healthy. But when I tried and failed and tried and failed and tried and failed and tried and failed, more and more surgeries, all of a sudden, my need to be whole physically became ego-centered. That's your ego that needs to be whole, not the real true you. And it's like, after, I mentioned this before on the show, it's like after enough failures, then all of a sudden what we want isn't legitimate anymore. And so I just wanted to remind us that we need to be careful saying, whatever you desire, as long as it's for the good of everybody.
Oh, yeah.
You desire, as long as it's for good, we add that stuff. And what we do is take away the ability to just whatever we desire, period.
Yeah.
Right.
And so even if we desire negative things, like it said in the reading, when you believe something is impossible, your mind will work to make sure that's proven true. And so we need to remind people that whatever you desire, if it's failure, if it's, angry, I want to fight somebody, whatever you desire, the universe starts to move to make that come true.
Yeah, that's powerful because
Yeah.
I've been looking at my career and thinking about how to shift in a new direction and do some new things. And one of the most powerful things that I realized was it was me that put all my energy into being here. It's not like I'm a prisoner of some outside thing. The same thing with, like I was talking about the way I was feeling physically and all this. That really, at first, that feels kind of scary to think I'm the one who made all this happen. Yeah. But it actually is the key to liberating myself from it as well and doing something new.
Yeah, it's like, in my workshops, I used to talk about you pick the game and the divine presence that we call God will play with you there. So if I pick the game that I'm a loser, I'm never going to succeed, then God, in its infinite ability, will support you in that. That presence doesn't care whether what you're going for is good or bad. It just says, you pick the game and I will support you there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What you see is what you get. Geraldine said that. Yeah.
Yep.
Wow.
So we're supposed to read that statement that that we're going to do today?
Yeah.
All right. Let me read it.
Yes.
I shifted it a little bit from you are statements to I am statements.
Great.
Even better.
All right. I rejoice and give thanks for the marvelous understanding that God is expressing radiance and life as me. The radiant spirit of God is the essence of my being. The beautiful, vital, all-loving spirit of God is expressing in me as radiance and light moment by moment. I am growing more enthusiastic, stronger, and happier. I am more radiantly alive each day. Youthful, adventuresome ideas, exciting, loving emotions, and strengthening, renewing currents of my life invigorate my body temple. I am the ever renewing. I am the ever unfolding expression of God. I think like it. I feel like it. I speak like it. I act like it. I am expressing the infinite life of God in all that I do. And the scripture reading is those who look to him are radiant. That's from Psalms 34:5. And Joyce Kramer wrote this statement.
Wow.
Man.
I was thinking the other night, it might have been after reading that, how much I am and everybody is loved because it made me realize that my body is filled with billions and billions of cells. And all those cells love me so much. It's like, if you don't think anyone loves you, there are a billion living cells in your body that are working round the clock supporting you, healing you. And I'm going, whoa. And then underneath that, there's all these atoms and particles. All this is working for how? What's making that work? But it's all working together to support me.
Mm-hmm.
Holy cow. It's one of those awesome ideas and realizations where you go, I have been loved tremendously by this force, by this God, and it's, dude, there's right now consciously, there's cells in my skin that are going, oh, we're going to take care of this for them. We're going to do this for them. We're fixing this right now. We're adjusting this. It is, think of that, folks. Meditate on that. Because I was so high, even now talking about it, it's like, and then wrap your head around that and just live with that idea and watch.
Yeah.
Terry, you said something the other day when we were talking on the phone a few days ago, and this is another one of those things that I've heard and I love hearing again and again and again because it's truth, and this helped me a lot years ago when I first came into this understanding is, as we change, as I change how I believe and think about myself, it doesn't just make me feel better. It not only makes me feel better, it changes the consciousness of people I don't even know how they think and feel about me. And it happens instantaneously.
Yes.
This helped me years and years ago when I first was getting introduced to this stuff, Terry. I didn't come here through a physical ailment. I came here because I created a lot of wreckage. And this idea helped me work with that idea of forgiveness because a lot of the things I had felt I had done were reprehensible. And I just buckled down. I said, no, I am no longer that person. And when I made amends for the things that needed to be amends for, I was able to shift it in my mind to, because this was the only way I could handle it, because it was so overwhelming if I didn't. I just said, no, that old guy is like if I had a twin brother, and now that brother died, but he left a lot of debts unpaid. And now I'm just going around paying off those debts on behalf of who I was. And then if any thoughts of, oh, well, this is going to get you that, I go, nope, I am new. I am doing new things. I'm thinking new about myself. And, oh, man, it works. And the people I would meet and making some of those amends with this healthier attitude by knowing that these principles are real, like what you said, what I expect, the universe transforms not just my mind, it transforms my reality. And people were kind and generous, and this stuff works, man. This stuff works. It is so wonderful to know that it's not just, like you said, I don't believe these things and live by these principles. I'm going to call them principles because that's what they are. I don't just believe in these principles and try to live by these principles so I can endure life. I believe in them and live by them so I can transform life. And when I see it work, because it always does, it gets me more enthusiastic to continue.
Yep.
That's that feedback. That's that feedback loop we were talking about the other day when we were talking about how you healed your hip. That when we use the tools and get the positive results, we get feedback that using the tools work. So we use the tools more, which we get better results, and it gives this feedback loop. And that's what I love about you guys and your work is you always bring it back to what you're doing inside you. It isn't about there's something out there that you need to pay attention to. You're the one that gets to create this. And you talk about whatever we need to know, we need to give thanks, we need to expect what we're looking at. There are some teachers that say to really be holy, you need to give up your expectations. No, what you need to do based on unity is hone your expectations and begin to live them as if this is the
Yes.
direction I'm going. This is what's going to happen. And how do I know that? Because I'm God expressing uniquely as me, and I have absolute authority on this physical plane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's that article I sent to you about who do you think you are? Where I talked about the ability for me to create the health I wanted did not come from just learning how to take charge of my mind and body. My miracle of healing really came from realizing my spiritual nature, because it was the truth of my spiritual nature
Yes.
that allowed me to address my human circumstances with divine authority.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's what Jesus brought to the human race. You have divine authority. Whatever you ask for in prayer, believing you shall have it, you shall have it.
Yes.
He didn't say whatever you ask for in prayer, as long as it's for the highest and best good, as long as the Pope agrees, as long as he said, whatever you ask for in this state of prayer, which is that state of knowing your divinity, whatever you ask for when you're in that state of consciousness, believing you shall have it, you shall have it.
Yeah.
And that's why the beginning of the affirmative prayer or spiritual mind treatment or whatever it might be called in our New Thought movement starts with the premise that Ernest Holmes says, there's a divine presence, and that divine presence and I are one. And it's that realization of who I am that allows me then to go use these principles, expecting that what I want is going to happen. Of course, if you say that to some people, they'll go, who do you think you are?
Right. Yeah. Yeah, this came into play for me this week because I had a bunch of kids that I work with who were really challenging in 4th and 5th grade. Did a lot of this work with them in helping them realign themselves with their own divinity, really, with their own power, with their own limitless possibilities. And they left our school and they went into middle school, and now all of them are doing really well over there. And I heard the principal at my school, the elementary school, and some teachers going, now they're all doing well. Like, and the principal was like, I feel bad about myself because why couldn't they do it when they're here? And the teacher I said out loud, I said, well, all that loving care that we planted, we did all the work we did here. This is how it works.
Them,
and the teacher even said, I don't know about that. And this lit me on fire. Like, I felt like Terry McBride because I was like, no, I know why it worked. And I started telling my principal, I said, I know it worked. From now on, if anyone asks you, say it's I use some of the words. We use developmentally appropriate strategies to support these kids in growing again and reignite. I told her, when you connect, because to me, I was telling Darrell, I learned this a long time ago. Like, some people, if we look at people through a developmental lens, this is just through education. I went to this one training, and it was like one of these oddball trainings, and I swear I'm the only one who really heard it. But they're like, so say a kid like at three was in a situation where it was scary and stressful. So they didn't go through the normal emotional growth that would happen right then, whatever those skills are. Sometimes they get stuck, right? So they look like they're 9, but there's this 3-year-old part. And what happens is a lot of people just, you should do this by now. And they kind of just yell at them and kind of push them through, but they never grow again. They like get stuck, that one part. Yeah. So what I do is, okay, I'm looking at a 3-year-old right now. How do I love them while loving and firm and all of that? But I'm talking to a 3-year-old, even though they're 9. And when I do that without judgment and love them, and then they make this growth, and then it's like the seed within them starts to grow again because now they've been loved through that stage. So anyway, I was kind of heated. I was like, oh my God, I'm like a painter, and everyone's loving my paintings, and they're going like, we don't know how it happened, right?
Yeah.
And So I started to get heated, but then I thankfully my inner voice told me, just walk away now. Because my principal was like, wow, this really pushed your button. And I wanted to be like, of course it did. This is everything. But I walked away. And the next day I was glad I did, because I realized I was like, pride, even though it was right, like there was a lot of, I needed to feel it. I needed to hear that part of me. I needed to wake up. But then I realized, what's the best that could happen by me convincing these people? Is I would feel good about the work I did and know it worked. And I didn't really do it. God was in my ear the whole time. That the divine was in my ear. God did the growing. God did the work. You know, like I did my part, but it's not as, so whatever the case was, I realized the best I could get out of this is to know even deeper within myself that this stuff works. And that's never going to come from anybody else.
No.
So I just dropped the whole thing and I realized I already have what I want, which is this is reaffirmed for me. I'm the one who needed to wake up and stop saying, I don't know if it works. And I'm the one who needs to look at that evidence and go, this stuff works. Holy cow. And so I was so happy. That's why I love this stuff. It liberates me. Because I was thinking about you, Terry. You're looking at doctors telling you this, psychiatrists. When a lot of people don't know, and we don't necessarily have to go through your whole story. We've talked about it, some of it in the past, but I want people to know, like, you were like on, I don't know, I wouldn't call it on, like maybe you could use better words, but I'm just saying you were facing the real people. How did you find it within yourself to stay so true to these principles and continue to do the work that you knew worked when like the experts,
when the authority figures are telling you, I don't know about this, son.
I would love if you shared a little bit.
And you were young too, and these guys were, I'm sure, grown-ups. They were men, you know. So
yeah, it started when I was, 20, 21, 22. I got to tell you, in the beginning, when I was using this, I was going to let the doctors fix me until the 10th surgery when they said, you're screwed. You're not going to come out of this hole. And that's when I decided I need to take some responsibility for what's happening here. But I didn't start by saying yes to health. I started by saying no to disease. No to what they're saying. No, I'm not going to believe you. No, I'm not going to buy into your thing. But what I discovered over time was just saying no to disease still left the disease. Mm-hmm. And so that's when I began to shift, when I began to understand some of these principles you guys talk about, to start moving towards health instead of away from disease.
Yes.
And that was a major shift for me. And that's what you guys talk about. And people, no matter where you are in your life, you have the ability to start moving to what you want. It's not it's not a Pollyanna thing. Oh, I'm perfectly healthy. Oh, I'm wonderful. And my body is whole and magnificent. I was in the middle of absolute pain and sickness and disease. But in that, I could begin to believe it might be possible. It might be possible for me to be well someday. That was my beginning. And when I would say that, my mind would go, oh, no, you're going to be sick forever. The doctor said this, the doctor said this. But I stuck with, it might be possible to begin to move to what I want instead of always fighting about what I don't want. And that was the shift when I began to really understand how these principles that we talk about might work to assist me to begin to move to health instead of away from disease, to move to joy instead of away from sorrow, to move to wholeness instead of in the middle of grieving. And that's the key that unity offers. That's the key to what Jesus brought to the party. It doesn't matter what's going on now. You have the ability to start right here, right now, and begin to use these tools. And it may be just a little better.
Yeah.
But if you do that, you get feedback was a little better from what I did. So you continue to do it, and then it's even a little bit more better. And then you keep doing it, and pretty quick it's like, oh my God, I do my work and miracles happen.
Yeah. Yes, I love
what
that.
This is about. This is what you teach all the time about. This is how I'm using it today.
Yeah.
I woke up in a bad mood, but I decided I don't want to stay here. So I started, I journaled, I did my meditation, I used the tools as I know them and began to move to what I want. Yeah. And that's what I offer people all over the world. Yeah. Wherever you are, You have the ability to start right now, right where you are, and start moving towards what you want, the desires of your heart. Because desires, the root words are sired of God.
Yeah. I was telling Darrell on the way to the show, the shift that's starting to happen to me with regards to some of these areas that I used to, it was more cling to my job. I didn't realize how subconsciously I was like, the people around me were like that. And, I just didn't realize how much it was working, but it was easier for me, kind of like you said. I'm glad. I really feel like I'm moving along the process in a very healthy way, which is it's been more comfortable for me to just not feed that I'm stuck and I'm scared and I need to hold on. But what's starting to happen now is I'm finding more moments where I'm able to pour love into the good that I desire, the joy I'm having. Not only is it not going to be that day, it's going to be a joyful day. It's going to be a successful day.
Yes.
The opportunities are coming now.
Yes.
I'm feeling them. I'm experiencing them. And so I'm so glad you pointed that out, because that's this is, in a way, this whole, my relationship with career and this is a healing journey for me. It's healing my psyche from fear and such that was me creating and over again the scary kind of that thing. And now it's starting to be, if I could create that, now I'm realizing I just turned that same energy into something new, and I'm looking forward to profoundly new, exciting, wonderful things. And now all these parts of me that were like music and things that I thought were kind of almost dead, they're coming back to life, and now they have more meaning and more health. They're healthy. They're a healthy part of who I am. They're like, oh, good. Now that we're on to this like joyful part of the journey, now we can come back in. So things that I thought I was too old or it was too late, they're starting to come out of the woodworks and go, see, now we're starting. Songs I wrote 20 years ago are just making sense to me. People are like, wow, when you sing that, you used to have so much like edge on it or urgency, but now you sound so relaxed. And because now it's like by living this stuff, it's like telling a very different story with the same songs, the same words, but a new meaning. It's amazing.
Well, I like how you help people open the door with the idea of it might be possible. Do you believe this might be possible? Is there any indication that this could not just might be possible? It's such a good key to open that door.
Yeah.
And it works. Because once that door opens with it might be possible, you're going to get results.
Yeah. Then you start looking for ways where it might be possible.
Yeah.
Maria, my lady, my partner, she says one of the best things she ever heard me say in my workshops was start with a believable hope.
Yeah.
If that's where you're going to start from. You may not be able to start from absolute confidence,
Right?
absolute knowing. That comes with years of demonstrating. But if you can start with a believable hope, it might be possible.
Yes.
It opens the door for the universe to support you and say, how about this? How about this? How about this?
Wow. Believable hope. I love that. And I think, Darrell, you would probably agree, all of us would agree that as metaphysicians and as like truth students, which I always say the people like yourself that we bring on here, like they're people who we're still applying it to our consciousness.
Yes.
We still, so either, like I said, it doesn't matter that I've had miracles in all these other areas. I'm uncovering another area where I have had to start with a believable hope. And I've had to be gentle with myself because I'm like, you've been doing a podcast for 10 years sharing this stuff, but it doesn't matter. In this area, I have to start with a believable hope. And now it's starting to grow.
Yeah.
That's exactly it. And, some people, some of the books say you need to absolutely know. You have to start with absolute knowing. And, I used to look at say, oh, that's such bull. Anyway, I couldn't start with it. I had to, because there's all this evidence of being sick or all this evidence of financial challenges or all this evidence of my relationships don't work. So to start from that and say, I absolutely know, you may not be able to get there.
There you go.
Believable hope. It might be possible. for me to make a difference. It might be possible. And you begin to build this and grow. And that's what I love about your series. You're always talking about what you guys do to make this work for you. It isn't some theory out there. It's what you do. What you did last week, what you did on the way to the office, what you did on the way to the studio. And it allows other people where they are to say, what can I do? What can I do when I wake up in the morning and I'm feeling lethargic or not as positive as I would like? I can start with doing my affirmations. I can open my journal and read the affirmation I wrote last night. It's using the tools.
Yes.
That remote.
Did I just set off some Christmas
You turned
lights?
on the Christmas strobe light with your remote.
Oh, that's what did it. Okay.
I don't know how to do it, but
I'll
I think
fix
the
it.
lights started celebrating what Terry was just saying. If you could come in and fix it, Indy, that'd be great. Wow. This stuff is, all of this stuff is, when you're talking about this, it makes so much sense. Like, we have to have a personal practice because it's what happens in that place, that secret place where it's just me and God. That's what really matters. Because I could get up in front of you guys, put on a show. I believe it now, but it's when I'm alone with myself. What do I really believe? What do I really know? How? And it's okay because there's this presence that we're talking about, this creative power is so kind and loving and will meet us wherever we are. As much as we crack open the door, as much will come in, and there's no judgment. But I love it because I wrote our column for the newspaper this week. I read a column called Tapping into Genius in Culver City News, and I just took the line from, I think it's Fillmore, right? Your life is your laboratory. That's what I wrote as the title for this week's column.
No, that's Emmett Fox.
Emmett Fox.
Yeah, your life is your
life.
laboratory.
And that's for me what turns me on so much about this. It doesn't matter. Like when I went through my hip healing, it doesn't matter if Terry or Darrell or Indy or even the closest people to me, if that desire is in my heart, it's never going to go away. It is possible. And if I persevere to keep using these tools, everyone else is going to jump on board when they see what it is. Whatever it is. If we follow through with it, they're going to join the party now or they're going to join it later. But when the party starts, it'll all make sense, even to me. So I like that adventure of going into my own laboratory. I may not even exactly know what it is, but it's something delightful that's trying to be born. And I don't always have the words because sometimes my things come in feelings and weird. There's a knowing back there, but if I try to put it into words, I can't even capture it sometimes. But there's a knowing that something amazing's happening. And I love being able to go into my own laboratory and knowing that these things are principles that I can rely on.
Well, yeah, and it's applying them. It doesn't matter how many times. The only thing that separates me from someone newly doing this is I just have a more extensive history proving to myself that this stuff works. But I still have to do it today just as much as the brand new person being introduced to it.
Yeah.
And I should allow myself the same amount as enthusiasm that the new person has. Because the person newly introduced to this, they are so enthusiastic, like I was. So what I get from them, they help me. They're so enthusiastic, I have to watch my mind from thinking, he's a little over-enthusiastic. No, that's how it is. And the thing is, applying this stuff when you see a jury notice in the mail, when you get a tax bill, because I'm just saying these things because these things came recently. And yesterday, I got this thing from, I won't say his name, but the name of the guy who's head of the tax collector in Los Angeles. And I got a little twinge of, oh no, like this might be. And I said, Darrell, no, we're going to release that concern. This is going to be fine. It's nothing. It's just going to be normal, ordinary mail, nothing but good. But I want to use it all the time because if I don't extinguish that in the moment, like brush it off like a hot cinder that just landed on my new coat, on my new t-shirt from Chobo before it burns a hole. Even though the news may be not bad, I allowed that feeling of, oh no, to get a hold in me. And that feeling now, as long as I keep, it's going to start infecting, I will say, other thoughts.
Yeah.
That feeling is the pathology, that concern, that's the pathogen.
Yeah.
So it's like, no, this is going to be fun. And I'm really enjoying that I'm getting better and better and better at it.
Yeah.
Like, not at just me, oh no, oh good, it was good, phew. But no, I'm going to detox myself. And I could feel myself now through all the work we do, that in the moment, that concern just evaporates.
Best.
You know, and I wanted to mention also that one of the things that helped me as I was beginning to use this was in Scripture, where this person is talking with God in the Bible, and it says, "Father, I believe, help my unbelief."
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So it's okay to acknowledge that, okay, part of me is going here, but I don't have 100% yet.
Yeah.
And that's not a bad thing.
Yes.
That's not a bad thing. You just start where you are and do what you can and begin to move in the direction. And so that's where, I believe in this stuff, and Spirit, help my unbelief.
Yes.
Yeah.
But that becomes our desire to get evidence to help in my unbelief.
Yeah.
And so, and that's that whole journey of moving. And you guys been in this for, how long have you been doing this?
10 years.
Yeah. And so not just going to unity and living unity, but teaching unity for 10 years. And you still talk about how you're growing, how this came and smacked me right in the face.
Yeah.
And I needed to take a minute and say, wait a minute, I'm not going to buy this anymore.
Yes.
Yeah.
Moving down to having a new reality that you're creating. That's what I love about talking to you guys, is it's real world stuff for you two. It's not just some theory.
Yeah.
Thanks for that.
Well, thank you.
Man,
That's
you're welcome.
It takes one to know one, Terry. That's why we appreciate you.
Yeah.
You know, that Bible verse has been one of my go-to Bible verses. Help me with my unbelief. I believe. And I turned it into a little affirmation for myself years ago that I often use, which is, God brings it about in spite of my doubts. It's okay to have those doubts, but just know that God is still going to be working for you. And it kind of, nope, God's bringing this about in spite of my doubt. And it helps my mind let go of, trying to grab, how are we going to do this? This morning, something else, and I don't even remember what it was. This is the other good news. At first, I needed someone in my life who would tell me the solution, and then I would take the solution. Like Mike Dugan, I'd be concerned about something, and he would go, did you do your morning routine? No. Click, he'd hang up. And I'd do my morning routine. I'd call him back. He goes, okay, now what was that? Did you do routine? Yes. Meant my meditations and my readings. He goes, okay, now what was the problem? I said, holy cow, I can't even remember what it was. He goes, see? Another one was, Mike, I got to handle this. He goes, wait a minute. What time is it? Did you eat? Yeah. When did you eat? Well, about 4 hours ago. You need to eat. Click. And I'd eat. He called back. So what's going on? Oh, I forgot what I was so upset about. I mean, the solution can be simple, but now I can do it to myself, Terry. I do it for myself. I've become the loving parent. I was in the shower and I started. This is the great news, folks. I cannot remember what it was, but I started this scenario about something that seemed really important that needed to be handled by me while I was in the shower. And I said, no. I said, we're going to let that go. You don't need to be doing this. Do not trouble till trouble troubles you. Boom. And it went away. And now I can't even remember what it was. Thank God. But there was a time, Terry, where I thought I had to act on every single thought. And the problem was I thought every thought was real. And this is the worst part. The more concern I had about a thought, the more true it was.
Right.
And if people offered any sort of hope or love, I took that as, oh, come on, man, this is serious. Thank God I was wrong, that the opposite is true. The more concern I have about a thought, the more untrue that thought is.
Yeah.
And that's true in a positive way, too.
Yes.
It's more concern, the more focused you are on your positive, the more information it'll have.
Yes.
And I loved what you talked about in the shower, that it's okay to start with no.
Yeah.
We had this thought at first, and what you chose to do is say, no, that's not true. And then you moved into the other one. So it's all right to say no to stuff.
Yeah.
Sometimes we're teaching you only have to say yes. No, I'm not going to believe this. You
I
guys,
agree.
I don't believe like you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, saying yes to everything, especially when you're hanging out with spiritual folks, led me down some crazy roads that I did not need to go down, man. I've learned to say yes when my heart says yes and no when my heart knows no. I was in bed the other night and some memory that used to torment me, something with a girl or something. I mean, years and years ago. I'm 49. It was probably when I was 18 to 20. This thing came up, something like embarrassing. And I realized the only thing that's happening right now is my mind, my great imagination is now sitting in this like movie theater and using my energy for something. That's the only reality this has right now, is that I'm using my mind to, and I just did the no. And I went on to something else. I'm with you. I didn't realize I've been using that no more, because there's kind of like I was saying earlier, it's one thing to bless and love the parts that are like scared, but it's another thing to really kick in a high gear and go, nope, I've had enough of that. There's a whole nother thing happening, which is my good. And it's so different from the fear that it's like, I can't, it's not just like, I'm going to shift the fear a little bit. It's so different from that it's an adventure. And it's like one little drop. That's the other thing about what Tara's saying. Like the hopeful, what was the word? Hopeful faith or hopeful, now you said that your partner said was the best thing you ever said. What was the?
Believable hope.
Believable hope.
So I want everyone to hear this too, because if you allow yourself to have the believable hope, it's not like, but it's still going to be a long journey, because one drop that comes through that believable hope will blow your mind. Each time one little believable hope comes true, it's not just a little thing. It's I'm back on the road of my divinity and what I came here on in a joyful way to be and express and do. It's so transformative that I'd rather be like, another thing I've been doing this week is saying, I got to be honest, still parts of me have been going, doesn't feel good, but I'll be like, when Darrell changes his mind about that, or when Terry, that's when it's all going to work out. But lately I've turned it on like, I'm so looking forward to my own mind being transformed today. This is going to be exciting. My own mind is going to be transformed today. And that makes it such an exciting adventure. And that really puts me in the driver's seat. And that's where all the good happens, when my mind is transformed. It's awesome.
I'm never going to change my mind about those guys you hang out with down at the beach.
No, but I'm transformed because I no longer care what Darrell says, because I'm not even hanging out with those guys. That's why it's even better. Once I transform my mind, nothing matters.
This is
what both of you talk about when you say, when you start with, so I said no to that in the shower. I said no to this judging me, is you don't just stop at saying no, because if all you're doing is saying no to what doesn't work, then you just get to have what doesn't work, and you get to say no to it.
Right.
The key, what unity offers us, what Jesus brought to the party, was no matter where you are, you can begin to say yes. So, no, this is not working, but both of you then move right to, and I moved my mind to this. I started doing my meditation. I started reminding myself. So it wasn't just no, it's no, I'm moving to, and then you go to the yes part. So that again is so useful for real world stuff about how do you apply these principles from day one with where you are. How do you start?
Right.
You start by saying, this is not going to be true for me forever.
Right.
This is, I am now, and then you start with that believable hope so you can, begin to move to. And as you practice this, it becomes more than a believable hope. Maria did a year or so, well, several years ago, she woke up in the morning and she was feeling really bad. And she had done her work the night before, and the cold and whatever it was wasn't gone. So she got up in the morning and did, her 20 minutes of meditative work. And when she was done with that, she still had this physical challenge going on. And so she was sitting there sort of, and then she said, no, I'm not going to buy this. She got out her journal and read all the times when she had done her work and it changed what was going on in her physical body. There were like 3 or 4 major events.
Yes.
And so she read those, reminded herself of that, reminded herself of that one. And after she reviewed how many times she'd been successful, she went back to her work that morning on what was going on. And when she was done with her work, all her physical symptoms were gone. So she had to prove to herself,
Yes,
remind her own consciousness, what I do matters.
yes,
Went, reviewed her history of what I do matters, came back to this current issue, applied the tools to it, and bang.
yeah,
It's
she didn't get it the first time.
right.
The first time she tried it didn't work.
Right.
But instead of pulling out her metaphysical hammer, oh, what's wrong with me today? Oh, what is this? All the drama, she went back and reviewed, no, I am powerful. I'm a capable woman. I can do this. And then she went back and applied the tools and bang. She got the result. So that's that idea that we share with people, that even us, I get up in the morning and sometimes I have little aches and pains. And instead of going, oh, geez, I just turned 80 years old, this is what's going to be my new reality, I immediately start on, no, I love my body.
Yes.
I start to move and start to feel it, just like you do. So I use the tools every day. That's how come I'm, this vibrant, healthy 80-year-old.
Yeah, if you don't have YouTube, you should just check it out to see. He's a better looking Harrison Ford, ladies and gentlemen. You know what? You reminded me of something I've just noticed in Jesus's teachings. Do you know every time it's mentioned, it's turn to. He's and then turning to what he desires to happen. It really is saying it throughout the teachings. We need to, no, I'm not going in that direction.
Right.
And then turn to God. And it's funny that you brought this up because just yesterday about Maria. So, I mean, I'm doing 1,000 times better. I used to get these debilitating migraines. They were giving me elephant tranquilizers to treat these things. Ed remembers, and they were not going away. I had to see a physical therapist once a week. And anyway, I just did not. I said, no, this can heal. This can heal. This can heal. Little bit of hope. Started seeing progress. Occasionally, though, I mean, I don't get them. They would, I would feel nauseous, couldn't move. It'd be like a day of hell or longer, and just pushing myself through, applying this stuff. But I'm doing so well now, Terry, that I only get them occasionally, and they don't last. And this is what happened. The night before last, I had a great day, do my evening routine, and I wake up at like 4 o'clock, and this is when I would usually get them. Somehow over the night, something seizes up, and I'm like, no. And I said, okay, I'm not going to get upset by this. No. We're going to get up early today and do the routine, do my morning prayer, because I know that's going to elevate me, just like Maria did. I know reading these readings are going to remind me. And I have my coffee. I didn't change anything. And I'm doing this. And one additional thing I know helps, because I'm affirming life, is to go for a walk. Well, it had been pouring for like 3 days at this point in here in Los Angeles. I get up. It's sunny. it's so sunny. I joked with Ed. This is how I know I'm getting healthy. I said, I hope you're enjoying your day off today. Little did I know he went in because it was finally sunny. I said, are you out there surfing?
Oh, yeah.
Because it's sunny.
What day was that?
Thursday. It was the day you originally intuitively
Wednesday
wanted
was
to
the day I
take.
was going to take off. But anyway, go ahead.
So I go, it's sunny. It's freaking sunny. I go for my walk. I get up the hill. I come down, and I'm the whole time going, I know this is going to work. Like you, like I had that little belief and hope. I know this is going to work. It's worked in the past. As soon as I get home, within 15 minutes, torrential downpours. And I'm going, what a miracle. Like, I'm seeing the miracle of my headache's not completely gone, but I'm like, holy cow, the universe opened up so I can cooperate with what I know works. And now I come back. If I complained and moaned, I would have rained and I would have missed this opportunity. So that's when I knew, oh man, I'm on my way to rapid recovery.
Yeah.
And I went to bed last night and it was still lingering a little. And I said, you know what? I know X, Y, and Z. Tomorrow I'm going to feel great. I woke up this morning, I'm like, and I'm still like in awe that this stuff works.
Totally.
That's the good part. I'm like, I have no headache at all. Like, it was crazy. But this, and I have to attribute it to this because doctors, like I said, were prescribing me all sorts of stuff. They were talking about surgery, Botox, anything to remedy this agony I was in. But this stuff really works, and it doesn't, but I have to keep out of, because I was tempted, Terry, to go, okay, I'm only 61, and I still get these debilitating headaches. Is this ever going to be over with? I've been doing the work. No. That's not your reality, man. Turn to this. I cannot thank you and all the other people I've met and the books I read. And then my own life experience. You got to apply this stuff in your everyday experiences. Because if you do, you will be convinced that this stuff really does work. And it doesn't just work for health. It works for finances, for career changes, for desires of doing the thing you've always wanted to do.
Yeah.
Whatever that is, and being well compensated for it.
Yes.
All those things are a reality for you. If you will just, like Terry said, have a believable hope that it might be possible that this works.
Mm-hmm. Yep. That's fun. Yeah, that's so funny because remember yesterday I went by the school to pick up all these gifts and things, and just being in that situation where there's like triggering of stress after 10 minutes, I was like, I got to get out of here because I was starting to feel like come down a little. But I met Darrell at the post office in Culver City. We sat in our car. Remember, it was raining.
Yeah, we said, let's wait.
We get out. At some point, the sun came out, and it was so warm and radiant, and I took a picture.
And we got these cards.
All this stuff was in the P.O. box, but I took a picture of the sun for some reason, and when I looked, it was like a perfect, radiant, white cross, like a triumphant resurrection style, the sun coming out like a star, shaped like
the classic North Star painting we see.
Right.
The horizontal line and the vertical line and the big circle in the middle.
And it reminded me of the Christ being born. And I've just been affirming a new experience of Christmas for myself. And it was the same type of thing. At that moment, my health, wow. Because yesterday I had to do the same thing. So I had to, nope. And this is what the last thing I wanted to say was, Terry, when Darrell was talking about this, and when you were talking about it, I like the phrase from the Bible, be transformed by the renewing of your mind. And I really hear renew, to make new again.
Yeah.
Saying no is like, all right, no more pouring all that old crap in. That's good. But turning to the good is what makes it new.
Yes.
New, like brand new, no limit. Joyful child of God, And I have to be a child to enter the kingdom. The kingdom was within me. The kingdom already exists. I just have to step into it with a renewed mind and heart. And it's new. I love that it's renewed. It's made new again. And there's nothing better than just feeling new and full of limitless possibility and seeing evidence of it. And being with Terry McBride and Darrell and Indy for this Christmas show and celebrating all the gifts of these teachings and the teachers. And Terry, you've been an amazing gift to Darrell. And yeah, I mean, Darrell met you 30, 40 years, 35, 37 years ago.
86, so it's 37 years ago at the Unity on the slopes of Diamond Head in Waikiki. This guy shows up, handsome as ever, with a suit on, suntanned, gets up there, and I was like, holy cow, because I had been practicing this stuff, seeing these miracles in my life, and then he gets up with his story, and I'm like, oh, man, this stuff, I want to be unapologetically into this.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to be doing it wishy-washy. I am all in. And so I never forgot that, Terry. And David McClure was the minister then. And it was like a 1-2 punch.
McBride was like AC/DC or Alice Cooper, which you love, coming in and rocking just tearing everyone's faces off with the rock and roll, the fire of this New Thought teaching.
Yeah, and I was still in the military. I was just in my early 20s. And I thought, when I grow up and be a man, I want to be like that.
Nice.
It was amazing.
Yesterday when I was thinking, okay, so we're going to be on on camera, and this part of my wall back here was blank. That cross with it's a little New Testament attached to it.
I've been looking at it the whole time. Yeah.
With all of my, I have sort of an altar, but I put it up there because there's one line, two verses underlined, and it was one of the verses that absolutely allowed me when I was sick to stay focused on this isn't going to be forever. And it's in Philippians chapter 2, verses 5 and 6 in the King James Version. And it says this, let this mind be in you that was also in Christ Jesus, who knowing himself to be in the form of God, thought it not robbery to stand equal with God.
Wow.
Yes.
And that's what allowed me, that even with all of these people saying, hey, it's too late on you, you're going to be sick, was like, no, I have the ability to stand equal with this divine presence and declare my reality. Let this mind be in me that was also in Christ Jesus, who knowing himself in the form of God, thought it not robbery to stand equal with God. In other words, my word is law in the universe.
Yep.
What's that verse again, just to our listeners, in case?
In Philippians chapter 2, verses 5 and 6. But it's in the King James Version. If you go to the American Standard Version, they changed the words, so it's not quite as powerful.
Gotcha. No, that's great, Terry. Thank you.
Yeah, and then that's the same voice, and I really feel like this is the most, when we can powerfully say that to the doubts and the voices in our own head and convert those voices, our good is guaranteed. Like, it's a conversion process. Reverend Ike recently, I just heard him say, when we pray, we're really praying we're not changing God, we're convincing we're praying to our own mind.
Yes.
To accept our divinity, to accept our worthiness, to accept our wholeness, to release, and we can treat it like a child. I know you were told all this before, but there's good news. I come to bring you the good news, and that is I can be transformed by the renewing of my mind now.
That those are really the only converts we need to be working
100%.
with are the doubts, the fears, the worries, the old worn out ideas and beliefs I have had. That's what it's talking about. Those in my own mind.
Yeah.
Not convincing somebody else they must think as I think.
That's right.
And that changes. My mind changes. It changes everything and everyone around me.
Yeah, not only that, but when you decide that you need to go for a walk, the entire universe will change the weather so that you have sunny weather. That's how this stuff works.
Yeah.
That's
Yes.
how powerful we are.
Yes.
We are powerful beyond measure.
Yes.
Of course, if you say that to people, they'll look at you, to some people, and they go, who do you think you are? But that's why I have a saying up here. It's that one that says, be still and know that I am God. That's not speaking out there. It's speaking to my own mind.
Yes.
And it's
Yes.
doing its chatter. Be still and know that I am God.
Yes. Yep. It's like
There, when I own that, I move into
Yeah.
physical with divine authority.
Yeah. God, that will save us so much time and energy, man. I used to try to convince everyone and everything, but what I was really trying to do is convince myself through them. And
Yes.
that's Darrell and I, like, we're not really connected with any church or any group. We're connected through these principles. Wherever these principles live fully, that's where I want to be. So if the building I used to go to, they no longer true to the principles, like shake the dust off your sandals, like Jesus said, it just keep on moving to the next place. And it really is liberating because God is speaking to us each individually through our own lives, through our own path. And if we're willing to just follow that and live in that space, it really is limitless. It's limitless what can happen. All right. Anything else? Terry McBride, where can people get a hold of your book? Find you online before we wrap up here?
Website is terrymcbride.net.
Mm-hmm.
And they can get my book on Amazon. That's either in printed form or a digital version. And then I also, since I was with you last time, I think I narrated my book. So that it's audio and I narrated it. But if you do that, you have to, email me. Go to the website and down at the bottom it says contact Terry or order his audio book. It'll take you to the order page. Or if they want to get the Everybody Wins program, which is my 9-week course on how do you begin to own this? How do you start where you are and given exercises every day? So at the end of 9 weeks, in lesson 9, there's a part in there that says, if you've done these exercises over the 9 weeks, you now understand that you can create belief.
Yes.
You
can create knowing.
Mm-hmm.
That's what these tools allow you to do. It's like our affirmation this morning. I rejoice and give thanks. We're affirming that. And we begin to understand that I can create a belief that speaks to wholeness, that speaks to prosperity, that speaks to loving, nurturing relationships, that speaks to health.
Yeah.
And that's what these principles are about.
And the book is The Hell I Can't, right? The book that we're referring to that you did the audio for is The Hell I Can't, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, The Hell I Can't, Terry McBride. So we have a quick...
They came in and said, you cannot expect to come out of this hole.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know whether I it's like my Uncle Larry taught me when I was a kid, when I was 18. He said, you're now a man, Terry, and you don't want to fight anymore. Because fights, you just end up in, everybody gets hurt. But if there comes in a time in your life when you have to fight, you will know when you have to stand boldly in your own truth. And that's when the doctor said, you can't expect to come out of this hole, I remembered Uncle Larry saying, there may come a time in your life when you have to fight. And this was it. And that's why the name of the book is The Hell I Can't. It wasn't, yes, I can, because I didn't know if I could. But what I knew was I am not going to buy into your limitations.
Brilliant.
It's so good.
And then I started from there, The Hell I Can't, to find out, how do I create wellness? How do I create health? How do I create... Anyway, so...
All right, well, we dug up a story from your old elementary school yearbook. We're not sure if it's true or not, but it said that Terry McBride, he's always marched to the beat of his own drum. He was the first person in his class to realize that there was no Santa Claus. Terry's mom got a call from the principal and called Terry in for a talk. Terry asked,
"What's wrong, Mom?"
His mom replied,
"The principal called and told me you are going around telling everyone you are a rebel without a clause."
All right, lied.
That's
everyone.
true. That one, I think, is the one true story we've ever told about someone.
He had a little
when they were-
leather jacket walking around.
Oh, he was a rebel without a clause.
The teacher said, "You can't go around telling everyone there's no Santa Claus." And he said, "The hell I can't." All right.
We got a nice little song
To
here.
take us
folks.
out. It's a great movie that it comes from.
And the movie's of the same title,
It's
which
free
is
on Amazon. It's called Pocket Full of Miracles.
It's a good little Christmas.
Mhm.
And it goes Practicality, D doesn't interest me. Love the life that I lead. I've got a pocket full of miracles. And with a pocket full of miracles, one little miracle a day is all I need. Visit DarrellandEd.com to find easy links to everything we do. And thanks for being a part of Funniest Thing with Darrell and Ed. Lee, life's a carousel, VR as I can tell, and I'm riding for free. So if you're down and out of miracles, I've got a pocket full of miracles, and there'll be miracles enough for you and me.
And Terry McBride. Woohoo! Merry Christmas.
Thanks, guys.
$500.
Really?
See, $200 for you, sir.
$100 for you.
What the heck? Hold on, no.
$100 for you.
No way. Are you serious?
Yeah, I'll give you $100.
Let's see what's in there.
Of course.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, of course.
When you record your podcast at CHOBO Studios, you're helping people in need. Here at CHOBO, we take a bold stance on helping the community by giving away 10% of all revenue, not just profit, to kind, hardworking people in the streets of Los Angeles. And thanks to all these wonderful podcasters, we've been able to give $1,400 this year alone through our kindness initiative, CHOBO Kindness. Brought to you by CHOBO Studios, LA's premier podcasting powerhouse. Follow for more.